All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about something that honestly gets a pretty bad rap, the whole idea of being a lone wolf. But what if I told you it's not just okay, but it's actually a secret weapon for your brain? We're exploring the lone wolf advantage and why solitude is a legitimate power up for your mind. You know the stereotype, right? The lone wolf is always this tragic figure, the outcast from the pack. It's the story we're told over and over, in movies, in books, this idea that to be alone means you're isolated, you're sad, that you're missing something essential. But what if that entire narrative is just wrong? Seriously, what if choosing to go it alone, even for just a little while, isn't a weakness at all? What if it's actually a cognitive superpower? That's exactly the question we're going to dig into. Okay, so before we go any further, we've got to get one thing straight. This is super important. We need to draw a really clear line between two very different ideas, because not all alone time is the same. Let's talk about solitude versus loneliness. And here's the breakdown. It's a huge distinction. Over on one side, you've got loneliness. That's involuntary, right? It's painful, it's draining, it's that feeling of wanting to connect, but you just can't. But then you've got solitude, and that's a whole different ballgame. That's a choice. It's constructive, it's reflective, and get this, it actually energizes you. So the specific term we're really going to zero in on is cognitive solitude. Just think of it like this. It's when you voluntarily decide to be alone with your own thoughts. You're intentionally cutting off all the external noise. No input from other minds. No texts, no social media, no one talking to you. It's just you and your brain. Okay, so we've defined our terms. Now for the really cool part. How exactly does this cognitive solitude work as a power-up? What's actually happening in your brain? The science behind this is absolutely fascinating. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine your brain is a computer's hard drive. All day long, it's just getting flooded with data. Emails, texts, conversations, everything. It's like having way too many tabs open. Solitude is like going offline to let your brain defragment that hard drive. It's when it finally gets the quiet time it needs to close all those tabs, sort through the information, and make sense of it all. And what happens when you run that defrag? Well, the benefits are pretty amazing. We're talking about a real boost in creativity, an ability to plan for the future with more clarity, a much deeper understanding of yourself. It even helps consolidate memories and regulate your emotions. Let's break down a couple of the biggest ones. First up, creativity. We have this romantic idea about the big group brainstorm session, but the data tells a different story. It consistently shows that people working alone actually come up with more creative solutions. When you're not worried about groupthink or what other people will think or saying something silly, your brain is just free to play. It makes these amazing, novel connections it just can't make under pressure. And that clarity, it's not just for creative problems. It's also about planning your future. Think about it. When you finally step away from all the noise and demands of the day-to-day, you can finally hear yourself think. It gives you the space to ask the big questions, to set goals that are actually yours, instead of just reacting to everyone else's priorities. Which brings us to a huge one, self-awareness. I mean, look at this. A whopping 60% of real self-reflection happens when we are intentionally by ourselves. This is when you can check in and ask, okay, how am I actually doing? Why did that conversation bother me so much? That quiet space, that's where true self-understanding is forged. So at this point, the benefits are pretty clear, right? But I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but how? How do I actually do this when my phone is buzzing every 2 seconds? It's a fair question. So let's talk practical steps. Let's build a little toolkit you can use right away. And look, this doesn't need to be some complicated week-long retreat. It's super simple. Step 1, schedule it. Seriously, put 15 or 30 minutes in your calendar like it's a meeting you can't miss. Step 2, and this is non-negotiable, disconnect. Put your phone on silent, better yet, put it in another room. The whole point is no inputs. And step 3, just be. That's it. Go for a walk, stare at the window, sip a coffee. You don't have to do anything, just let your mind wander. Trust me, that's where the good stuff happens. So let's just wrap our heads around this for a second. We started with this old, tired myth of the lone wolf as some kind of tragic figure. But now, by really understanding the powerful difference between loneliness and solitude, we see it for what it is, an incredible tool for making your brain work better. And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Solitude is not a weakness you should run from. It's a strategic advantage you should embrace. It's not about avoiding people. It's about taking the time to recharge and reflect so that when you are with people, you're more present, more creative, and more, well, you. So, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. In a world that is always demanding your attention, who are you when nobody's watching? Who do you become in that quiet space? Because finding that time for yourself, that's not an escape. It's how you find out who you really are. Thanks so much for tuning in.